and gentlemen, happy first day of spring. I don't know where you were today, but where I was, it was cloudy, it was raining, it was spitting snow. What a glorious first day of spring. Welcome to the first Monday night episode of Litvak Leadership Live. We are no longer going to appear at noon on Fridays. 8 p.m. Eastern on Mondays is our new home, unless I have another event that I need to be at. Then we'll shift to Wednesdays, which is going to happen a few times in the next month. However, for the most part, it's going to be 8 p.m. on Monday. So I encourage you to mark your calendar, keep an eye on YouTube, keep an eye on LinkedIn, keep an eye on all the social media that you are in, because you will then be notified. Tonight, I've got a tremendous guest, one of my good friends from my mastermind group, Megamind. He has his own podcast. He is a legend in the metal roofing community. His website, get ready for this, is ibuyfromrandy.com. Yes, tonight our guest is the one and only Randy Chaffee. What is going on, my friend?
What's happening, brother? It's good to be here, buddy.
It is great to have you here. I remember when we first met, and you said your website was ibuyfromrandy.com. And I was like, who is this guy?
This guy's a cornball, right?
Who is this guy? And gosh, what a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? Tremendous. So I got to ask you first, before we get started, what made you come up with ibuyfromrandy.com?
Well, because I'm a bit of a goofball, and I say what I say and talk what I do. Hey, there's Jeff Forster right there. Look at that.
There he is.
We were just talking about you, Jeff, and it was a little bit. Some of it was good, I think, right? A little bit.
A little
bit. But you know what it was is I say what I say and do what I do, and I don't. There's you get what you get with me in public, online, on air, wherever it is. And so years ago when I developed this, I knew I needed a website, and I've been known to say stuff like, customers would call me and they'd say, would you have this? And I would say, you don't need it. And they go, well, what do you mean I don't need it? I think I need it. And they says, no, I said, no, you don't need it. And they go, I don't understand. I says, why do you say that? I says, because I don't have it. And that was one of my taglines I used. And I said, here's the deal. The only thing you need to remember is ibuyfromrandy.com or .net. Or .net, whatever you want, but don't. And so that's really how it came out. It just popped in my head one day, because I'm a little bit of a cornball when it comes to stuff like that. And you know, it's just I have my Source One Marketing LLC that goes to that same site. So either one gets you. There's like 4 or 5 different things that'll get you there. But I just do I buy from Randy just because it's fun to say.
It's tremendous. I remember. And it fits you. It's like when I had my 4th live stream, 4th or 5th one, and I had Joe Soto on, and he was like, how did you come up with Litvak Leadership? I'm like, I just said it one day.
It sounded good, didn't it?
I just said it, and it made sense.
Yep, I like it. The
next thing he said was, tell me you've already got the URL. And he was like typing as I was like, oh yeah, I've got the URL.
Love it.
I'm like, I don't have the website, but I've got the URL, so don't think you're getting it. So
good stuff.
Randy, what brought about Building Wins? That's the podcast. We'll get there in a minute. Building Wins Live. Fridays, 3 p.m., LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and on this glorious website here also. What brought about Building Wins Live?
Well, it all happened during the start of the pandemic world, right? The lockdown world, the whatever we want to call it. It was what it was, and we were in it. And I've always been an old school style road warrior in the past, right? Traveling, seeing, pizza pie lunches and burger and brewskis in the evening, hugging and kissing babies, the whole thing, building relationships and building trust. All of a sudden, I can't go anywhere. And once I went past the 2 weeks thing, and that become clear that this may be forever, it seemed like, right? And
Yeah.
I said, how am I going to be with my customers? How am I going to be in front of my customers? How am I going to get in front of new customers? And that's when we joined the Megamind group together, all of us about that same time. And
Absolutely.
we started doing a lot of video, and I got comfortable doing video, guested
Were
on a
you
few.
comfortable with video when you first started? Tell us the truth.
No, not at all. I think anybody
Did
that
you
says,
stumble? Did
oh,
you stumble?
awesomely big time.
Are there videos out there where you look like an idiot right
Oh,
now?
some of them that I've tried to find and hide, yes.
And yet, here we are still, because I've had that same experience. And why are people still afraid of video? If we can do this, they can do it.
Absolutely. And that's a great point, because here's the deal. There's always going to be in everything that first time, right?
Yes.
And we worry, like with most things in life, we tend to worry. What we worry about is either A, never going to happen, or B, we can't do anything about it, or C, is never as bad as we conjured up to be in our head, right? And
Right.
so regardless of how bad we suck on those first one or two, by the
Or
time you do,
five or
or
six.
five or six, but at some point you're going to have done so many. And
Yeah.
in today's environment, we're in such a swipe left society, right? Everything's like right now oriented, that you're not going to remember a screw up I did 3 weeks ago, 3 days
Yeah.
ago, because I've already done. In our case, because you and I are a lot alike, we tend to probably serial posters, right? We're doing
Yeah.
stuff so often.
Yes.
But by the time I did one that sucked 2 weeks ago, I've had 25 good ones, or better ones at least, right?
Right.
So it just gets forgotten. So, but it's a great point to anybody that's watching, that I'm afraid to do it. Well, yeah, you're going to be afraid to do it until you do it. So just do it, right?
Just do it.
And
Just do
understand that
it.
you're going to suck. So just do it, embrace the suck, and then move on, right?
Absolutely. All right, we're going to get into our topic now. But one shameless self promotion, Litvak Leadership Tonight with Randy is brought to you by Proverbs for Leadership. You must understand yourself and improve if you desire leadership that produces success in others. This is my manifesto, my book that I have written. It is available on Kindle from Amazon, and you can also get it by going to proverbsforleadership.com. You buy it there. I will immediately be notified. I will sign your book and then mail it out to you. So go to Proverbs for Leadership, open up another tab right now. Go to proverbsforleadership.com and get your paperback copy of my book. So, Randy, what we're going to talk about today is, in case people are wondering, oh, yeah, and the book is big. I mean, it's thick. It's tall. Anyways, we're going to be discussing chapter 24 in the book today, which is Leading in a Vacuum Never Produces Results. So many ways to look at that, but what we do here at Litvak Leadership Live is we begin with an opening scripture that is related to and in the book. So I'm going to throw this up here, Proverbs 24, 5 and 6. A wise man is strong. Yes, a man of knowledge increases strength. For by wise counsel you will wage your war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety. Randy, what does this have to do with never leading in a vacuum?
Well, I think that's well said, because there is no such thing in leadership or in personal relationships as a vacuum. Regardless of whether we think we're at the top of the game, the middle of the game, whatever part of the game we're in, we're always operating with people below us, above us, beside us. And if you don't operate knowing and thinking and being a good follower as well as a good leader at the same time, um, you're just going to continually live, at best, a miserable life, or less than a a fun time about your work world, because you've got to be able to get along with the people that you work with. And that's the only way you're going to grow, I think, Sean, is if you understand what the different personalities are, and understand how to work them things together,
Yeah.
right? And when you get into a vacuum, that's a dangerous spot to be, and we can do it in any aspect. You don't have to be a leader as far as managing tons of people. You still have to lead yourself, right?
Yes.
You still have to lead your family. You still have to lead, even in the world of sales.
So many aspects of leadership.
So many. You lead your customers. As salespeople, we're leading our customers because they're coming to us as the perceived expert. You expect me to lead you into the right decision, help you make the right decision together, right?
Yes.
And we do that based on relationship and trust and all those things. But if I work in a vacuum where I don't listen to a thing you said, understand what you want, understand what your concerns are, again, that's operating in a vacuum, and that's not going to end with the results either of us want, probably.
Well, and when you talk about with your customers or with your clients, Daryl Amy from Revenue Engine and Selling from the Heart podcast just did a poll on LinkedIn where he said, are they customers or are they clients? He let people vote. And then he explained, in his opinion, a customer goes to Walmart, a customer goes to Target, but a client, that is someone that you can inform, educate, influence, and inspire to action. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree 100%. I've never heard it quite put that way, but Daryl is very, very good. And that's well said, because what you do then also is customers, when they go to Walmart, that's 100% transactional, right?
Yes.
And because let's just face it. I mean, maybe there's somebody, but I doubt there's too many people on planet Earth that have this massive love and this great trusting and loving relationship with Walmart, right? You go there
Oh, yeah.
for the transaction, and
Well,
we
I
don't
mean,
want to be
if you're going to Walmart, it's all about price, right?
exactly.
Isn't it?
Exactly. And if we get that, if that's where we are in our sales life, in what all of us do, whatever the product or service it is, if we allow it to become transactional, then we lose.
We
At the end of the
lose.
day, we always lose because it all becomes price. And there's this really magical, funny thing about price, right? And I know technically what I'm going to say is not true, but it proves my point. There is never, let's put it this way, there's always a lower price.
There's always lower price.
Always.
In my professional life in the janitorial industry that I have been in now since 1991, with the organization that I am aligned with, working with, I tell people in the first phone conversation, and then I repeat it in the first face to face meeting. If this is about price, you are talking to the wrong person and the wrong company. I will give you a solution and you are going to pay for it. And all those soft expenses that you don't realize will go away, but you're going to pay for them with hard cash. And all those soft expenses will go away. And people look at me. I had one guy tell me afterwards, he said the first time he talked to me on the phone, I called him at 5:20 on a Friday, got him on the phone, and he was telling people there's some drunk calling me, telling me he won't be the low price. Hadn't been drinking. I was being honest. Jeff brings up a great point, Randy, that I want you to talk about. Having a group of people to help you go past the uncomfortable is so important. What does that have to do with leading in a vacuum, not producing results?
Well, great comment, Jeff. And two things. One, that is why you need to involve yourself with mastermind groups, whatever it is, industry groups or whatever, so that you're learning and you're bouncing ideas off of different people. But back to leadership, you see, you need to lead from within as opposed to leading from behind or even leading from in front. I know there's something to be said for both, and we should lead from the front and all that. But sometimes I like to look at it as let's lead from within. So be together, part of the group.
Okay.
Maybe I'm still the leader, right? Maybe that's the position I have, but we're going to do this together as an effort or as a team, right? Because if we do it as a team, then we all move forward cohesively and with the same mission in mind, and we're going to have so much better ideas. Because believe it or not, as smart as I sometimes like to think I am, I don't know anywhere near everything about anything.
Right.
and never will. And
Yeah.
so to involve myself with a group of people, I'm going to get ideas here, ideas there. But if you're going to do that, you also got to be willing to listen open-mindedly and not just put it away because, well, but I got the title, so I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. So I do think that you have to have that group of people around it that you trust, that you feel are on the same page as you. There are people that are, believe it or not, out there to not be after your best interests or looking out for your best
Yeah.
interests. So you got
Well,
to
you
be
need to
smart about it.
separate the wheat from the chaff when you're
Exactly.
talking to people, because
Right.
people will, and I talk about this in Proverbs for Leadership, people will give you feedback, and everyone has an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not going to say some people have a nefarious agenda, although I believe they do.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone has an agenda, and you need to be able to separate. I think what you're saying is separate the wheat from the chaff, separate what brings life versus from what is hollow. Okay. And what will feed you and have you grow. Yes. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to be able to separate. When you say separate, that makes a lot of sense because there's always going to be good and there's always going to be bad. And that's your job, I think, as the leader to ultimately make the final decision sometimes, of course,
Yeah.
or many times, but base it on not because it's what you wanted to have, but base it on some good input from the group, the team, whatever your council, and make the best decision. If it doesn't happen to be yours, that's okay, right? It's okay because your
Absolutely.
outcome is to have the best decision, right?
So let me ask you, can you not grow? Can you think that you have arrived? Yes, it's a loaded question, and still have wisdom.
I think that I think you can always have there's levels of wisdom, right? So yeah, of course you can have some wisdom, but I think if you feel like that now I have arrived, right? The air quotes, right? I've arrived. I've got it all. I know it all. I'm there. You made a big mistake. You have wisdom, and you gain wisdom every single day of our lives. We gain more wisdom, but the only by continuing to grow, continue to the hard knocks, continue to make the mistakes, continue to learn from them. That's where we gain the wisdom. So I don't think that you can ever, if that answers your question, or if that was your question, I don't think you can ever just say, okay, if I reach this point,
Yeah.
I am now done. I am now fully smarted up, right? I'm not, that's a word, but I'm going to use it. But
Right.
I know everything I need to know, and I am just going to float from here because you'll see people run over you when you do that because you're going to get beat all day long by the people that are continuing to learn and continuing to work with their groups, work with their people. So no, I think growth does lead to wisdom. Um, I think that, and you can reverse that. And I think wisdom can lead to growth, right? It's a combination. It's a ever revolving circle, and you don't ever know where you are in that little whirligig, right? You know, you're at some point on that whirligig of growth and
Yeah.
wisdom all the time.
So when you look at here, I want to look at this and ask you a question. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. So here's my question, and it's going to come a little out of left field.
Okay.
Think back to 2019, the first half of 2019. I Buy from Randy, I bet, was rocking. You knew what you were doing. You were the travel king, going from trade show to trade show, meeting with people. You had your whole business all set up. It
That's
was
right.
running well. I remember that. And then COVID hit, and you went from hopping a plane every single week to sitting at home
Sure
and
did.
having to pound the phones. And even those long-term clients were probably difficult to get in touch with or even motivate them. What did you need to do? What kind of inward examination did you need to go through? Because Randy, I'm going to say, I've got some gray in my beard. You've got some gray in your hair.
Thank you for noticing.
We're used to doing things a certain way. And in the beginnings of COVID, people, and we all heard this, I'm waiting till things get back to normal. I'm waiting it out. Okay. They were being wise, in my opinion, in their own eyes. What say you? What did you do? What was the turning point where you said, everything I know, I need to change?
Well, I think it was after I did the first 2 or 3 weeks of setting at home. And I'm going to be honest, I've been traveling a lot, 11 out of 12 weeks at that point in time. And so did I enjoy a week or two of not traveling? And I had an excuse, right, for not traveling
Right.
because it's kind of a built-in excuse. And as highly motivated and disciplined as I feel I am, I still took advantage of that and said, okay, this is
Sure.
kind of nice. But very quickly I realized that two things, and it was interesting what you just said. There was thus my moniker that I use, hashtag hybrid road warrior Randy. There's a reason behind that, Sean, and this fits right into that. I was the old school road warrior, right? And so many people, like you said, I'm not doing any of this hybrid or any of this new stuff at all. Whatever this stuff is, I'm not doing it. I'm not
Right.
doing virtual and all
You
this
were
junk.
saying that.
That I was grew up in that.
Okay.
But I'm hearing all these people say it. I was on the other side of the table at the start. For whatever reason, Sean, and I wish I had this moment of brilliance here that would that I could tell you this light went off, where I just hit this brilliant moment and said, I'm going to do all this completely differently, and I'm going to be the most brilliant man on planet Earth. That didn't just happen that way. What happened is that I started doing the virtual because I had no choice. Not because I wanted to or ever thought about it. But there was, I love what I do, right? I talk about it all the time. I love what I do and do what I love. I want to be able to continue doing this, continue building the relationship. So I started all in on the virtual, the social media, and video texting and video emails and just everything that I was learning, by digging in to what we did on our mastermind group.
Isn't that what it was called? Boom Boom?
Bomb Bomb. Or Boom Boom. Boom Boom's a shrimp, right? Or is that Bomb Bomb? I don't know. Okay. The hot shrimp. That's Boom Boom, isn't it? But so I was doing all that stuff. And then the second camp came into play, which was the new normal, and we're never going back to the old. Nobody will ever get on a plane again. Nobody will ever go see a customer in person again. Everybody's going to sit with their underwear and a polo shirt on and do this with Zooms or Teams or whatever all day. That's it.
You ran to the airport at that point.
I did. I said, I got to travel. I can't do this. I need to see my people. But what I recognized then, Sean, was that there's two camps that both have a lot of sense. There's a lot to be said for the old way, especially in sales and especially in my industry. We are a people to people. Even though I'm business to business, a B2B, it's all still P2P or H to H. It's still people to people.
Sure.
I need to be with them, but there's a way to augment that in between times, or maybe lessen the amount of travel, maybe further or broaden my reach. So I started to come up with this idea that I can hybrid this thing into the old school and the new way, and this is going to be my new way of doing things. And so that's what I spent the last year and a half doing, which is actually what I'm again, shameless plug, but that's what I'm writing my book now that'll be out later this year, is about that journey to hybrid, how I went from old to fully new to back into the middle somewheres, right?
Got to be in the middle.
And it works. It works. I did a talk here a few weeks ago and talked about hybrid selling, and one question was asked: how much time do you spend on, hybrid, the social media, the virtual, the podcast, all that? I said that's an easy question. When I'm home, 100%, right? That is the way I go. When I'm on the road, it's still 50-50. It's never less than that, because and that just means I work harder and longer and more, but I've got better at what I do, so I'm more organized. But I still will have posts ready. I'll still do videos from the road, videos from my car, videos from the hotel, videos from trade shows, do those kind of things, so you can hybrid these things together. So that's a little longer version than I meant, but that's how that whole thing went down. There was never this one aha moment, other than I do remember the exact night that I knew I had to make a change. I was in
Right.
Tulsa in an airport with absolutely positively nobody in there. And I go, okay, something is not right here, right? So you have to transform to stay relevant. Absolutely, Jeff. If you don't, and I think we'll all agree that in today's fast-moving world, that if we don't, whatever we're doing now is going to be different a year from now.
Yeah.
There'll be different technology. There'll be different ways to do it. We don't even know what those ways are. But if to stay relevant, as Jeff says, we have to continually learn, continually to evolve, literally by the day. And
and it's like Chat GPT. And I would think most people watching this know what Chat GPT is. Very quickly, it is artificial intelligence where you type in a question or type in some directions and you get back something very well written that's long that you can then leverage to be your own. I asked it the other day for a list of the top leadership podcasts and live streams because I want to promote my book. And I got 3 pages. Can't see it there. There you go. A 3-page answer. Now, someone said to me, well, you could have got that on Google. I could have. I could have typed in Google top leadership and self personal improvement live streams and podcasts, and then I would have gotten a bunch of links that I'd have to go through.
Right.
Or this, which literally took me 10 seconds to type, I walked away, got a cup of coffee, came back, and there it was.
Oh, exactly. I use that. I'm still experimenting to figure out what I want to do with it. But the other day, I'm close to the end now because it's the 13th. By the way, today is not spring, is it? You said spring.
I was told today was the first day of spring.
I think it's the 20th.
I was told it's the first day of spring. And I will not disagree with who told me this.
Okay, because that was your wife. Okay. Anyway, I've been doing this 50 days till spring. So if you're right, I'm already done, but I'm going to keep going. I have the 20th on my calendar. But anyway, regardless, I'm doing this 50 days till spring video series that I do once a day of some word or thought, and short and quick to the point. And all of a sudden, I hit a dead spot the other day. I'm going, I can't, the 20th. Huh. Okay, so now I got to keep going. That's all I really wanted to get to. But the point, Sean, is, bless you, that's that I got a little bit like, I don't know what else I want to talk about. I hit a dead spot, right? I couldn't think. So I went into, like you said, Chat AI, and I typed in, give me the top 15 inspirational or motivational subjects to talk about. And like you said, I hardly hit it. And it's like, just running them out. And will I use all of them? No, but you know what? I found 3 or 4 that I like that I didn't have to spend the next hour and a half like searching the internet, searching all the web trying to find a subject that made sense to me, right? And so it is a big help. And so now my point is trying to figure out. Nobody wants to take that. I don't think. I sure don't. An article or anything, and then just take whatever it says and put your name on it. You want to use it and Seanize it or Randyize it, right? But it gives you all that research that you didn't have to dig hours trying to go find.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, I know what my next book is going to be in the Proverbs For series. I began with Proverbs For Leadership, but I sat down the other day on inspiration from God and made a list of what may be 9 more books, or it may be 3 books with 3 sections. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I know where I am going because of that. So we've kind of veered off topic. I'm going to bring us back real quick here, but I want to just remind everyone that If you have not seen or listened to the Building Wins podcast, you go there to listen to it. If you have not seen Building Wins Live at 3 p.m. on Fridays, you need to check that out. Going back to our topic of leading in a vacuum never produces results. I want to ask you, Randy, how do you work with a group so everyone benefits? How do you, so there's two parts. One, how do you set goals, set strategies, set tactics so everyone benefits? And two, how do you put your ego aside and stop making it all about you?
Well, and we'll go backwards in my thinking there, because I think what you said second is probably the most important, is you have to set your ego aside, right? It has to stop being, it's like, and I like cliches sometimes because they're fun to use, but the beautiful thing about old cliches is so many times they're right. Just because they was said 40 years ago or 80 years ago doesn't mean they're still not right. And the one of the biggest ones in the world of business, especially, but is to build win-wins, right? And if you set out with the idea that it's all about the win here, and the win is you win, I win, what's the best? And it may be more for you, less for me, it might be the other way around, but what's the best deal? If it's the best program for all involved, then it's going to be a lasting program that continues to work. And so you have to put the ego aside, bring in anybody that's involved in the conversation, and everybody has to feel, and I think this is where a leader comes into play, is there is no stupid questions. There is no a fear. There cannot be a fear to speak up and to talk and to toss out your idea with the fear of retribution or laughter or being ridiculed. We have to be able to just sit there as a group and iron out all the possibilities and then start massaging them into a workable final product. And I think that works whether it's within a company on some project or something internal. I think it works equally in sales, because if you work in sales, and I'm sure you do the same thing, I can almost guarantee. I work from a standpoint of consultative, right? I'm going to be your consultant. I'm going to be your advisor. I'm going to use my 4+ decades of experience to help figure out together with you, with your feedback together. I'm not going to tell you what you need. I'm going to ask you what your problems are, what your issues are. You're going to ask me questions. And at some point in time here, we're going to find the best solution. And the best solution may be that we just don't do business together too. That's possible. There's nothing wrong with that. It's better. The sooner, there's all kinds of ways this is said, right? But the quickest way, you want to get to know as quick as you can. And I know that's counter to some guys in sales that either haven't been in it a long time, or in my opinion, maybe don't think about it exactly, again, my opinion, the right way. There are going to be no's. There should be no's. Let's just get to know as quick as we can, because there's no sense spending 7 weeks putting this thing together when we could have knew 7 hours in. This is going to be a no.
I'll end up having a meeting where I'm bringing my colleagues with me, and we're meeting with a prospect, whether it's virtual or in person. And inevitably, when we have the meeting, before the meeting, I'm asked by my colleagues, what's the point of this meeting? And I always say the same thing. For them to either say, we're done with you, or to get to the next meeting.
Right.
They're like, when do we get to the close? I'm like, we'll know when it's time to close.
Mm-hmm.
I do not go into meetings looking to close, but I have a long sale.
Right. And I get what you're saying. And in my world, sometimes it's a shorter sales cycle, but it's all repeat business, or that's the goal, to be repeat business, right? And so sometimes that happens relatively quickly because you might be right place, right time. This particular customer's in need almost today, right? But most cases, there's some time frame to build the relationship, build the trust, get to the point where we come up with a plan that's workable. But if we short circuit that by going for the close too early, then we've completely and totally blown all the opportunities and may not get one again. There's
May
a
not.
yeah, I believe in closing the sale. At the
Yes.
end of the day, we all have to
Nothing
have business,
happens till
right?
it
Nothing
closes.
happens until we do it. But I believe also that I operate from a standpoint that I am very, I don't want to use the word aggressive because that sounds harsher than I mean it, but I will ask you for business.
Absolutely.
But I'll ask you only when I believe fully that I've earned that right to ask you for the business.
That you've
And
gotten to the point that all the boxes have been checked.
Yes, you've been nodding your head and saying yes, sir, gal. Oh yeah, Randy. Yes. Everything. You're right. There's no more boxes to check. There's only one last thing we can do. Is we've all decided, Sean, you and I've decided A through Z that this all makes sense. The only way we can really prove this out now is to give it a shot. That right?
Do you know who is the master? The master of building relationships, and then they come to him. You know this person. Who is the master of building relationships, and then they come to him and ask for his product?
So this is somebody that you and I know together?
Yes, so that narrows it greatly.
It does. Would it be somebody that has to do with our mastermind group?
It would be.
Would it be somebody that was at the very beginning of the mastermind group?
It would be.
And it's somebody that gives me grief all the time because he wears bedazzled pants, watches The Bachelorette, and does not like pineapple on his pizza.
And maybe watching The Bachelor right now instead of watching us.
Which is absolutely ridiculous. The Eric Bam.
And here he is.
We knew that would get him, didn't we?
Of it, yes. Nobody. So this is the second time today that I am lifting Eric up to people. I was on a call today talking to people about social media, and I told them if we're going to get this social media working right, we need to post about our family, we need to post about our community, and then we have earned the right to post about our organization.
Right.
And then I followed it up with, and it's difficult for me to post about my family because my family doesn't want me to post about them. Commercial break, of course. So
of course it is. Of course it is.
But Eric is a master of working with people, building the relationship with them, and learning from others. He doesn't have to be the smartest person in the room. He wants to learn from everybody else and have people get to know him as a person. Mm-hmm. That's something I am still, not the first part, the second part, having people get to know me as a person. I am still learning how to do that. How are you at that, Randy?
You know, I feel like I've become fairly good at that. I have no issue. I probably err on the side of not doing enough product posts, enough about my manufacturers and about product, because I spend a lot of time letting you know by whatever it is that I post, who I am, what I think. But here's the reason I do that. And I know it's the same reason that Eric does it, is all the products I have, I can give you all the stuff and I can dog and pony it as good as anybody in the industry. I've been doing it forever. But how many times a week do you really want to see a different rendition of this greatest screw ever developed in mankind, right?
Yeah.
Or this the greatest piece of barn door track that ever was made on planet Earth? Not very many. You don't really care. What you care about is, who is this Randy guy?
Yeah.
Do I like him? Do I trust him? Is he kind of interesting? Does he bring me some value? And guy's a real guy. He's playing with his grandkids and he's going to dinner with friends. And so, because they know what I do, because I still give them enough that they know I'm in the metal roofing industry. They know I'm in the post frame building industry. They know how to get a hold of me. So, yeah. And plus, I share what I do is I share a lot of stuff that my manufacturers post. I share a lot of stuff that my customers post. So I am telling you that I'm in the metal roofing world by posting 17 different customers. Oh my God, look at this beautiful roof type of thing during the day. that I don't need to tell you I'm doing metal roofing because you're seeing that all day long. So I'm telling you is that I'm kind of a normal guy that likes to drink a little Dr. Pepper in the evening and hang out with the grandkids or do whatever it is that I do. I think people want to deal with real people because
Well, and what
product
else
is
that
just
you do?
product.
What else that you do that is so good and you're so natural is you compliment other people. I made a comment recently in our Facebook Messenger group for Megamind that Randy comments on all of our posts and likes them more than anybody in the group. It is sometimes eerie. I will post something at 5 in the morning. Randy liked it. I will post something 11 at night. Randy liked it. I mean, do you have a monkey sitting there like watching our stuff?
Maybe I just have no life. I'm not starting to make me wonder. No,
It's unbelievable.
I am. If I had to, what that comes back to, Sean, is if I had to, and you didn't ask me to, but if I was to, in a word or two, explain what I ultimately see myself as, I am an engager. I love engaging. I love networking. So engager / networker. I enjoy everything about talking to people, seeing what they're doing, letting them know I'm thinking about them. And so I don't do that stuff because I want to let Sean know I saw his post. I do it because I like your post. And I want to let you know I like your post.
It is just amazing. I mean, it challenged me to the point where I realized that when I was looking at people's posts, I was just doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know what? If I'm taking the time and I think, oh, that's good, I just need to hit like. I may not have time to comment, but then there's other times where it's like, oh, that's really good. I need to say something. I need to share this out. You have made an impression on me as to how important that is.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I do think it's important. I think that social media today, good or bad, and people could make all their arguments about it, but it is where we are, and it is what it is, and it's such a tool to expanding our ability to network, expanding. Well, the other day I talked about we all know the 6 levels to Kevin Bacon or whatever that is. We're all within 6 people, and that's from way back. I bet you that's 3 now or something. I don't know. It's way less than 6 now because it's so easy to find people and to find new communication. Every time you connect with somebody, let's say they only have 1,000 followers.
Right.
But every one of those 1,000 people, say they only have 1,000, all of a sudden you're exposed to a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And I would challenge people too, if they're doing networking and you really want to do it at a high level, which I believe is I can't even put a number on the importance of networking. But and somebody that just popped on there, Jeff Forrester. You know Jeff now because I met Jeff. I met Jeff through Harry Spate. I met Harry Spate through, I'd have to go back and remember where that one, I'd have to trace that one back. But the point is, there's a whole bunch of people that we all know each other now.
Yeah. You know Hannah now.
I know Hannah now.
You know Hannah because I know Evan Savanikis.
Right.
And Evan on the other side of the world knows Hannah.
Right. And he introduced you to Hannah. Now you know Hannah. You introduced me to Hannah. And now Hannah, I recorded on her podcast the other day, and she's going to be recording, I think, in a week or 2 on mine. So, but the other thing I'll encourage people, always got to be careful. It's internet, right? It's social media, but go out of your way if you're out and about, as long as there's a trust factor. I mean, I don't want to not caveat that, I suppose, but I met Jeff and Harry, Jeff Forrester and Harry Spate, who know each other. They both live in Orlando. I met them a week and a half ago for lunch because I was going to be in Orlando. I really attempt, if I'm reasonably close to where people that I've not just met and you kind of say, "Oh, that was funny" once in a while. I'm talking about people you really develop an online relationship with.
Yep.
Man, you need to take that to the personal level, the physical level, if you will. And I've always liked Jeff and Harry, using them as an example, because just a week or two ago, uh, absolutely nothing better than walking up and seeing them standing there, shaking hands or bro hug, going in and having some lunch and hanging out. I mean,
Yeah.
that is just good stuff. And then, like I said, all this stuff that we do allows us to broaden that the connect, right? Broaden the network. So it's
And we look at that, and we need to take that into how we lead people, what we've learned from others, how we put our ego aside, how we understand that we need to improve and look for ways to do it and support others. That's what you're talking about.
all day long. If it's all about supporting each other. You and I did a little video the other day, and I truly believe that if do you have everything you want? If you don't, if you want more, you got to give more.
Yep.
And you got to give more with no expectations. See, that's the problem that a lot of people get into, I think, is they calculate it too much. What is in it for me if I do this? How about if there's just do it because it's the right thing to do, right? And no expectations. If you get something, hey, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too, right? So give without expectation, because I found that, again, I can't assign a number to it, but if it's not 10 to 100x, I would be shocked that you don't get back overall in a year's time by just giving without expectation. You need some help? Sure. What do you need? Need to meet this person? Absolutely.
Support others. Absolutely. Yep. Well, Randy, we have gone 48 minutes. Wow. Shockingly. I'm going to throw up one more banner there, and I want you to talk about quickly how this banner relates to our topic of leading in a vacuum never produces results. Going back to scripture, the father of the righteous will greatly rejoice, and he who fathers a wise child will have joy of him. How does that relate to leading in a vacuum never produces results?
I think we just hit on that, and that's a great way to end it, because if you completely give and you get your joy out of seeing others win, and you get your joy out of helping others win, they will eventually find that same joy in helping you win. And at the end of the day, all of you win together, right? And when you do that, I think at the end of the day, that's what is expected of us. I think that's what I think we're here for, is to not just do our thing, but to do our thing and help other people do whatever their thing is together, right? And I think so, because if you don't, you're back to, like I said, the vacuum part. We don't live in a vacuum. We can't live in a vacuum. You can try, and you'll never get into a vacuum. You may try to live within, in trying to live, I think it'd be painful. And I think it's painful for some people. They try to live in a vacuum because that's what they think they want to do. But that's not, I don't even think that's normal human nature, really. We want to be with people and involved with people. We want to help people grow, and they help us.
Even our introvert brothers and sisters want to be with people.
Sure they do. They just don't know they do yet, but.
Well, and they want to do, and I talk a lot about introverts and extroverts here on the show. And I am a recovered raging extrovert that now I'm just an extrovert. And people who would meet my wife would not think of her as an introvert, but she is an introvert that has, through the grace of God, become more of an extrovert so she can function in the leadership roles that she has been blessed with. Mm-hmm. So you can change, people. You can change.
You can. You can.
And
first thing you got to do, dive in.
One more word. Go ahead.
Dive in. Like we said earlier, dive in. Make that first, and I use this as a generically, but make that first video, right? Make that first whatever, and it's just everything you do. Just make the first attempt. It's never going to be as bad as you think it is.
Write
book.
the beginning of your book. Outline it. Do something. Because let me tell you, you want to know how long this took? A long time. I saw very quick. I started in 2011. I didn't get serious till 2017. I ended up changing the process multiple times, but I never gave up.
Right.
But you got to start with something, and it's scary.
But of
Be
course it is.
scared. Move
Be scared.
forward.
Be scared. Live uncomfortable.
Randy, thank you
F you.
for being
My
on
pleasure.
my first 8 p.m. Litvak Leadership Live. It's going to be a great home on Monday nights, and I'm glad you were here for the first one to share it with.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you for having me, brother.
Everyone else, come back next week. We have another returning guest. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but he's got a story to tell. Be happy, be well, be blessed in all you do, and we'll see you next week.